Hello, this is Everett Pierce, and today is June the 12th, 2017, and it's 4:05 p.m. Now, I just finished watching Bret Baier from Fox News, and he says this three words at the end of his show: fair, balanced, and unafraid. Now, with this part three to the word believe is fair, balanced, and unafraid is part of this process. Now, in this part three is like anything that we will ever do. Anything that we will ever do in terms of our belief. Now, years ago, this is far back as Adam and Eve, believe it or not, the symbolism of the double-bladed sword. So that was intended to be for symbolism of energy, the yin-yang, and like we've been just talking about, forever life and forever death, which is extinction. Fair, balanced, and unafraid. Now, in terms of evolution, we hold these truths to be self-evident. As soon as those truths become unevident, means has no value, it has no purpose. Evolution has overlapped itself and it's proven itself to you is what you hold in terms of your belief is incorrect. It may be correct in terms of the time frame, whether it's 2017 or what happened 2,017 years ago, 3,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago. So that's why fair, balanced, and unafraid, using these little concepts, basic concepts, is in relating back to Adam and Eve. Okay, I gave an example where Eve was holding the belief that Adam looked just like her. Okay, where Adam says, I have reason to believe that I look different than you. We're definitely different from one another. It doesn't say, or doesn't automatically put in, I'm better than you. It just, all it says is, I noticing significant difference between you and I. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Okay, so at that moment that Eve sees with her own eyes that they do definitely look different, then she has to let go from what she holds in terms of belief and say, okay, you do look different than I. Okay, now I use that as a teaching tool of evolution. Now, what's a double-bladed sword have to do with any of this? The good and evil. The tree of good and evil. Okay, because that's what Adam and Eve is surround, is the concept of good and evil. Okay, now, it's not the double-bladed sword, but it's just another symbolism to teach people the basic concept of energy. So, if I eat this berry, it might be nutritionist for me. But if I say, oh, I'm going to give this berry to this horse, and it turns out the horse eats the berry and it ends up dying. Meaning that what is good for you may not be good for another thing. So it just for the sake of understanding, because since man was put here on the sixth heaven, is we are going, every day is forever, every day is a learning process. From your thoughts to problem solving, everything. So, the good and evil to anything, a belief system, what you're going to adopt in your life, the ways you're going to conduct your business, do things, raise a family, religion, is the double-bladed sword. So, fair, balanced, and unafraid. Fair and balanced. So Eve at some point has to adopt, and as she's seen, we hold these truths to be self-evident. More than evident to her that it's obvious. She was holding the belief system that they both look alike. even though they had a different sex organ. Okay. So, but there's also a curveball to that, where we have people in man's timeline where even though you show them the truth beyond a shadow of a doubt, self-evident, now they bring in the sense of evil. Lucifer and extinction are two different things. Is what you hold on to, is it conducive for forever life, or is it conducive for forever death or extinction in that respect? So these are the things that you have to think about: fair, balanced, and unafraid. Humbleness, unafraid, means you're not afraid to admit that you're wrong. You're going to humble yourself and say, Eve would say, you know, Adam, you're right. And I see with my own eyes that you and I are totally different. And it's obvious that you didn't intend it to say I'm better than you. And I misunderstood you. Okay, so that's why when I say fair, balanced, and unafraid, there's nothing wrong with being humble. You know, but there's more errors in terms of your sin, which was used a lot back in biblical days and all throughout the history of man, is sin. What is the true sin? The true sin is not learning from your mistakes. And now mistakes can be done voluntarily or involuntary. Involuntary means you accidentally tripped. Okay? So, the voluntary means someone went out of their way to trip you, or you tripped yourself. Like self-fulfilling prophecy. If you think of yourself as being clumsy, you will do things in your manifestations to prove such. Like self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, subconsciously in your mind, since you're trying to fulfill this particular thing, you will not acknowledge that there's a wooden log in your path and you trip over it. So, okay, so unafraid, fair, balance, is as you're evolving in your belief system, as you will know and will learn, is when evolution overlaps itself. And it has to. I mean, energy has to provide you the truth and false at the same time. You say, yeah, God tells you the truth, and God also lies to you. And that's the characteristic of energy. So, of God, energy, and everything else. He's the Alpha, He's the Omega. And the thing is, why? Well, I mean, why would anyone lie? Why would anyone tell the truth? It's a mixture of them, known as the Trinity, that puts whatever in terms of energy and evolution in a higher functionality state. So, a higher evolution, higher intelligence. So when we make reference to an alien, a higher intelligence, a higher understanding of things, a better technology, ability of things. So, in this part 3, your belief system, what you hold on to. Now, everyone has the ability to believe. You know, in terms of rights, everyone has that right. Everyone has the ability to believe. That's part of the evolutionary process in terms of the human race. So you have that ability to believe, even if your intelligence level is on a lower diminished state to a higher state. Now, when I say forever life, and I say extinction means energy that does not exist. It's not energy. It's not in a state of motion. Forever life would be God. Energy that's always in action. E equals mc squared. And if you take E equals mc squared, which is my equation, and you advance it on a 2, 2, 1, Okay, so if you was to see my skull and my eyes, there's two holes, and there's two holes here, and then in the mouth would be a hole. 2, 2, 1. Okay, being that God is a lot different than us, if you take E equals MC squared, E, you advance it forward 2 letters. So it goes E, F, and G. M goes 2 letters, so you go N and O. And then C, you advance it 1 letter, and it goes from C to D. It spells out God, using the 2-2-1 factor. So, and say, why is that? Why is it that if you notice some of the ancient paintings and pictures painted years ago, that there's always symbolism. The way, if I hold my hand like this, 2, 2, and 1. It's a symbolism. Okay, so in terms of communication, there's so many different ways of communication. So getting back to our belief system. So you have to automatically put into that equation is what I believe, is it true or false? And you can use your problem-solving skill sets that everyone seems to have. Everyone has it, but on different degrees. Okay, one of the biggest problems to belief, or to believe, is you're only strong as your weak links. Okay, so say for example, I have this caveman, and he believes stone wheel is where technology is, the stone wheel. And here we are in 2017. If I had that same person today that believes that stone wheel is technology of today, meaning what's happening is he's taken something of the past. Evolution, 2017 years, many years in the future. He's still holding on to that truth to him being self-evident. And he stays there like quicksand. He's not willing to evolve. Now that's the problem with belief. You have many people, and I see a lot of people guilty of this, is no matter what religion you're in. See, religion is essentially a group of people who have adopted the same evolutionary concepts. So when you say Christians, you say Catholics, they all are holding, we'll just say river rocks here. They're all holding the same kind of river rocks. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Okay. So just because you have a different understanding or belief things is not justification to go out and kill people. Because your understanding of what you believe in is subject to change as evolution keeps moving forward in time. But we have people out there, we call them terrorists, an ideology, radicalized, and it's like they're taking it from the perspective under the banner of God that if you don't believe what we believe in, then you are the disbeliever. In the true form, by definition, going back to the original default of belief, do you believe in forever life, meaning God, or extinction? That would be labeled as another, there's so many, no matter what you call it, the devil. Okay, Lucifer is a different person. Because when you think it in the spiritual books, and you talk about Lucifer, he's an angel that fell from the heavens. Okay, heavens meaning the universe. Fell from the heavens means Lucifer was brought here on the 6th heaven. Okay, a beautiful angel. And then one day he decided to object God. Okay, so that's also symbolism. So that's a lot different than extinction, the opposing force. So if you're going to be forever life, there's always the 2 factor, as we're learning with light elements and many other elements of energy. They're now discovering, You're going to say, well, light, it likes to split in two. And that's what gives them, they have reason to believe that we have parallel universes. And that leads them, like I was saying in part 1, in part 2, with Adam, I have reason to believe this. Now, that's what I call plausibility. It's now is to take it the next stage further. So, with any person out there, I don't care what group, what faith, what religion you're in, one of the big disservices you can do to yourself and to everyone on this planet is to hold on certain concepts. Like I was explaining with the caveman and the stone wheel. And since the stone wheel, we've had the wagon wheel, we got the rubber tire. So evolution has evolved. So people understand that concept. So with these old spiritual books, basically these are books put together that what we have discovered of evolution, ways of life, to better ourselves, enhance things. So if caveman refused to go beyond the stone wheel, and his efforts reflect upon everyone on this planet, you would not have a smartphone. I wouldn't be able to have a selfie stick here, do my video. We wouldn't have a home. We'd be living in caves. So life, as you know, would be dramatically different. And it would still be barbaric. From today's time and back in Jesus' time, 2017 years ago, is the mentality of things. So when you look at any or understand any spiritual books, you also have to take into account people's understanding of life and energy and the things around them. So like back in Adam and Eve's time, if people didn't, they were more concrete people, but they couldn't understand abstract things they cannot see. And say, well, why can they not see it? Well, we don't have a microscope. So I can't actually put it under this slide and show them what a woman's egg is. I can't put an actual under slide because it wasn't intended for that time frame yet. Or to show them what a sperm is. Of course, you could see it as kind of like the half-half thing. Is you can see the man's ejaculation or sperm, but you couldn't see her egg. So that's why it was easily misunderstood that why some people would believe that the man was more valuable because he held the seeds. How did they come to that concept? Is they see an apple tree, which is with Eve, offering Adam the apple. So they think that's why man, is to understand why people think the way they do. Had we, one of the big disservice, like I said, is when you hold on certain things, you're not willing to move on. Looks like the caveman, I use that as a parable. That's what we're seeing with a lot of people out there, different cultures and different spiritual books. That everything is spiritual. Meaning they label as the Word of God. Now, whether it be Christianity or the Quran or whatever religion is, okay, and he said that's the Word of God. You're correct. Word, as we know in our language, we have many words. So to say in this Bible, this is the Word of God. That's what, in terms of knowledge, understanding, numbers, cause and effect, that's just how like you open up a book and you have a foreword, it's like introductory to what you're going to read. So, but when you take all the religions, you take the Quran, you take the King James Bible, you take all these religions and you put them together, they paint a bigger picture. But see, what's happening out there, which is also a problem, is people get stuck in a particular concept of life and they're not even willing to accept other things. So that is one of the problems that we're going to establish here has plagued man himself, is holding to a particular concept and not willing to let it go. And we have this concept of letting go, let God, meaning that if that caveman wants to reach a higher level of thinking and ability and evolution, at some point he's going to have to let go. That's why in our Constitution we hold these truths. It means he's holding on to something. As he evolves his understanding and thinking ability, eventually he's going to set it down. Not to forget about it. That's why we have history class. We set it down to hold on to something else that has become more self-evident. So I think we'll end it right as far as part 3 of fair, balanced, and unafraid. And it's hard not to talk about terrorism and these terrorists out there, because that's what we're dealing with at this given time. And when you think about the ideology that they have adapted, if you look around in all people, all nations, how we see many examples of people having an exaggerated extremist type ideology, understanding to particular things. Okay, but when you cross the line as these people are going out of their way to kill people. Basically, you believe and do what we do or you die. And they're twisting things around. They're saying you're the disbeliever, and according under the banner of God since you're the disbeliever, I must kill you. And see, they have an exaggerated, and that's why an ideology, exaggerated extremist means out of the contents of it, because disbeliever is someone who in their actions is geared towards extinction. So it's either your forever life and opportunities and rights and opportunities and higher technology, abilities, or you're about death. And when you get these people, it's like it's my way or die. That's why when Trump would said that they worship death. And that's why we have to be careful about exaggerating certain things. We have to be careful about being stuck with a particular concept. Because I hear people say, well, I've been taught that when I was a little boy, and it's just always the way it's been in our family history for years and years and years and years and years and years. It's like the same concept of the caveman saying, I know my daddy taught me the stone wheel, and it worked then, and it still works today. And I would tell the caveman and say, yeah, you might be right. But guess what? I have this Ferrari over here. It has a rubber tire. It has aluminum steel rim on it. And it's far more superior than your stone wheel. And then he could be a smart ass and say, yeah, but you can't sharpen your knife on a rubber tire. You can on a stone wheel. So, I hope you're laughing with me, but we have to point these little things out when it comes to belief and have a clear understanding. When they make reference to disbeliever, is if you're going out killing people for no reason at all, other than they believe in red, you believe in blue, and since you don't want to believe in blue, we're going to kill you. Because we only want people who believe in blue on this planet. That's wrong. And that takes you steps to extinction. Instead of taking the perspective of saying, wait a minute, I like blue, you like red. I wonder what about if we mix them? Oh, wow, now you have purple. That would be an element or an example of the third element or trinity. You mix the two, like if you mix red and blue, you get purple. If you mix red and white, you get like a pink. And if you mix blue and white, you get a lighter blue, which is like what we see in the sky. So the red, white, and blue, which of my shirt, white represents the color of our bones. The red is the blood that circulates through the body. And then within our body, life wouldn't be possible without water. And we see evidence. Will these truths be self-evident? That water is generally blue. Now, if I have a cup of water, it looks clear. Okay. You say, wait a minute, how can it be white? It's like, or clear. But if you look out in the ocean, especially around Hawaii, it's kind of like a greenish blue. Okay, but for the sake of argument, blue skies, blue water. So that's why we have these symbolism. And that's why of our flag is, and we have to identify, we have to hit at all angles. Okay, now when I mentioned 7 foot, and like for this part 3, is we know that we can get to the end zone. We're strong, we're fast, but if we're not aware of the 7 foot, of all the things that would stop us in the way, we're only as good as our ability to stop or avoid that 7 foot. Like belief. Okay, if I'm unaware, is if I hold on to this concept and I'll never move beyond it, that's my 7 foot. I'll never get to experience a much better life, a better quality life, better air, better water, better food, better understanding, less occurrence of terrorism, less occurrence of war, less occurrence of famine, less occurrence of cancer, less occurrence of all the negative and bad things that we still have in 2017. That's if you keep holding on certain concepts and you don't want to let them go. I'm not saying to forget them. That's why we have history course. The value, we have to look into the past to pave our future. We look at our future to understand the past. And then when you mix them together, then it gives you a better understanding why you're at this given time. So that will conclude this part 3. Is we have to make a list of things in relation to the belief system, what we're adopting, our concepts, or whether religion or whatever. What is in the equation? What have we allowed in that's acting like a 7 foot? That's destroying us, that's holding us back. Some of these things, you may not even realize it. You've done it, a lot of people have done it. But when you really think about it, you say, wait a minute, that's not one step towards forever life. That's more of a step towards extinction. And that's why we have to think about these things and be smart about it, logical about it, be fair, balanced, and unafraid. Be unafraid. It's okay to be humble. You say, I am wrong. And now that I know I'm wrong, I'm going to make every effort from today and on to develop myself to become better. That's the unafraid, which goes inseparable to being humble. Do not be afraid. Like I give an example in part 1 with John, is I know he is going to go kill this village, and even though he's my brother, and I would hate at the thought of being able where I'm forced to either kill my brother or let him go kill 50 or 100 people in his village. So I have to be unafraid. Means I have to make a logical choice and say, wait a minute, he's going to kill them on the premises he thinks they are about extinction. And he doesn't even know, there's no rhyme or reason for it. So now it's either I have 2 choices, forever life or forever death. Since he's going over to kill people, and there's no rhyme or reason for it, I now have to be unafraid and do what is necessary. I have to now kill him because he doesn't want to listen to me. He's 7 foot tall. He's very powerful. And if I don't stop him, 50 to 100 people are going to die. So I have to be unafraid and be willing to let go or make actions that's going to bring about life. Because it's either kill 1 or kill 100. and if I'm going to be about, I'm the believer of forever life, then I may have to take actions to bring about life. Especially if I'm aware of a John type person. And that's why we are, terrorism. They're trying to kill Americans. They're killing a lot of people. That's why we have to take efforts, like I gave as a parable with John. We must stop them because they're affecting our future generation. They're affecting women and children. They've blown up women in Manchester, England. Children. So that they have chosen their path. They're doing a reverse psychology. They're saying that you are the disbeliever when it's them being and acting. Their own actions identify themselves as the disbeliever. It's different that if self-defense. Now, even though this village over here, they're not under attack, and I know he's going to go over and kill them, so in a sense, he's not rhyme or reason. He don't even want to listen to me. I have to invoke self-defense to protect these people over there. And that's essentially what our military is there for, is to bring fairness, balance, and be unafraid to act out in the betterment of forever life. So with that, I do appreciate your time, and Godspeed. That will conclude part 3.